When I observed a lot of the cities that I lived in overseas, I didn't really like what I saw. They were overpopulated, there was crime, there was pollution, and a lot of unhappiness because people were away from nature. What I want to do is just plant as many trees as I can on as many farms as I can in the days I have remaining on this beautiful planet. So Tamata Hills was the farm that we bought in 2021, our first project. And the project was a big collaborative effort between us buying the land, the council helping fund the trees, Kauri Park Nursery, who provided the majority of the trees for the project, the Green Team, who were a wonderful organisation of tree planters. The magic there was that these guys, these two brothers, Tane and Fetu, they gathered a team of about 30 planters, and they can plant at an incredible rate. We have just finished planting 820,000 native trees in 3 months. I can tell you in all honesty, it is the most satisfying thing I've done in my whole life. After this recent weather event, Cyclone Gabriel, we did a helicopter fly over the Kaipara area with the council guys immediately after the event, and it really made you cry. Some of the farms were, 30% of their land had slipped away. On our one, we lost about 5% through slips, but hardly any of the farms were untouched. And it was almost as if the land was crying, because it had had a pine forest on it, it had been cut down, it was so unstable, and just whole hillsides just dropping into the Hodeo River and flowing out into the Kaipara. And it was just really sad, and made me realise that I need to speed the whole thing up. We'd bought this one farm, we had it planted, and now lots of farms are coming onto the market. And so I just want to speed the whole process up and build lots of native forests on lots of farms. And in thousands of years' time, future generations, like my offspring, will be enjoying those forests.
So what I think Paul's project and the project we're investing in as council is important in today's climate. With climate change, we've just had the recent weather events where we're getting heavier and heavier, more intense rainfall, and that just hammers the steep hill country. We're very concerned with sediment runoff into the Kaipara, and by planting it you stabilise the land. What is unique about this project is it's the whole farm is being retired. With exotic forests, they do get harvested, and there's huge nitrogen, there's huge nutrient and sediment runoff at the time of harvest. With native forests, only is you're planting it for indefinitely, so it does lock that land and stabilise it, but also creates biodiversity, and that's the bird life, the insect life, the native fish in the streams, and to mitigate the slips as well, and that's very current at the moment. Planting, it covers all of those, native planting. I think time has come now, we've got to do this on a large scale. We've got to, if we really want to make a difference, we need to start doing more and more of these projects.
Before New Zealand was inhabited, the country was 80% covered in native bush, and successive generations have either burnt or cut those trees down, and today we only have 30% remaining, which is 8 million hectares of native bush. It used to be 24 million. We've got 2 million hectares of Pinus radiata, which of course we had none of that in times past. When I was born, pine trees were just starting to be planted on the east coast, and of course there was no problems in those days because they hadn't been harvested, so it wasn't an issue. But what's happened now and during my lifetime is that big overseas interests have come in and they're buying up our farmland, and it's being planted in Pinus radiata. And now the forests are being harvested, some are even on their second rotation or third rotation. And of course we've got this problem with slash. And the slash, which is all the offcuts, the branches and all the rubbish from after the logs have been extracted. And that just sits up on the farms, and then it rains and they get washed off down through the wetlands, into the rivers and into the ocean. And as we've all seen, that is now a major problem. So you may wonder why people aren't planting native forests, why they're planting Pinus radiata over and above native, and that's because most people are investing for carbon credits, and Pinus radiata pays 4 times the value of carbon credits compared to native. For example, Pinus radiata about $4,000 a hectare to plant, and native more like $14,000 a hectare. So that's why farmers and that's why investors are not planting native forests. Despite what a lot of people say, native forest does not naturally grow inside a pine forest. There's not enough light coming in. If we keep planting Pinus radiata, then in 100 years' time we're going to have a major catastrophe with regards to our environment.
The scale of this problem is huge, and we have to have partnerships. Council, government cannot do it alone, so the private-public partnerships are essential, and working with willing landowners like Paul. And we need to prove by example, show by example, that this can be a very productive way of managing land.
I was wondering about how I could speed this whole thing up, having planted one farm, and in the middle of the night I had this light bulb moment. I had this brilliant idea of trying to encourage corporates to channel some of their carbon offset money away from carbon credits and into BioBonds. So the idea behind the BioBonds is an alternative to carbon credits. When you channel your money into carbon credits to offset your pollution, it goes into a big black hole, generally, and some of that money ends up offshore, and some of it ends up in dubious projects, which is commonly known as greenwashing. It's been in the press recently, there's a lot of it happening. So you're offsetting your pollution, but you've lost the connection to the project. With BioBonds, you have a direct connection to a reforestation project. So there's a big drive for corporates to get themselves to carbon net zero. Some of them they have to do it, it's compulsory. Others, for the majority, it's voluntary. 90% of the carbon credits that are sold today are voluntarily purchased by companies who want to be able to put on their website and tell their customers that they're carbon net zero. So to be able to buy carbon credits in the emissions trading scheme, the ETS, and have a certificate is pretty cool, because you can put that on your website, say, hey, we're carbon net zero. But the reality is a lot of that money is actually not going into kosher projects. So as a corporate, you've got to ask yourself, do I want to be seen to be doing the right thing, or do we actually want to be doing the right thing?
So greenwashing is a problem. We'd like to think that persons were green collared. That means that they're like us, they're actionists, they're realists, and they're not looking for the easiest way to offset their carbon footprint. In terms of BioBonds, it's completing that circle of permanent forestry, and it's the only environmentally responsible option that you can truly put your hand on heart and say is long-term healing nature, if you like, because a rotational approach to forestry, when those trees are harvested, the erosion that's caused, the damage to the understory, the damage to the flora and fauna, it can't be measured. Whereas a permanent native forestry is the only environmentally responsible outcome.
So the BioBonds are a cutting-edge product. There's nothing else like it in the New Zealand market. It encompasses 3 things: the planting and maintenance of the native forest, carbon sequestration, and the restoration of the biodiversity. In essence, a value is put on each of those and then valued up as a BioBond and sold to the market. The major advantage of buying BioBonds is you've got this direct connection with a project that is going to be sequestering carbon and restoring biodiversity for thousands of years in the future. As a customer, you can rest easy at night knowing that your money that has been channeled into this native forest is there forever. It can never be cut down because each farm is covenanted and will always remain a native forest. You can get directly involved with your staff, your customers, your suppliers. You can go out and help plant trees, help with the pest control. It complies with Kyoto Climate Accord and is 100% kosher. And you can be proud of that as a corporate. You're restoring the land to its former glory.
The local connection, the tangata whenua, when they talk to us, they talk about a project like this as being their project. And then of course, persons that are willing to invest in BioBonds, they're part of the story. They've been part of the ecology economy.
When you invest in BioBond, you're not just investing into trees, but you're investing into the community as we create job opportunities for a lot of people that don't get given a chance. We sort of get more pleasure out of that than the money of the job really is seeing young men turn into father figures for their families.
You are investing in people's mental well-being as well. A lot of our youth go through a lot of hard times these days with social media and online bullying and stuff. So we have a good group of young people. When they're out on site, everyone's just singing and laughing, just having a good time, and it's more than a job to them, it's like a brotherhood.
BioBonds is a company that recognises that we have to start doing things differently. We're progressive, we're looking to the future, we're transparent, and as a collaboration of you guys, corporates, us, private investors, council, iwi, government, we can make this happen. So come on this journey with us.